Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Gail Carson, your host for Women in Business, a show that celebrates women and their accomplishments as entrepreneurs or senior managers. As a woman business owner for over 5 decades, I take great pride in bringing these interviews to you. My guest today is Kirmmse Toth. She's a recovered therapist who had a private practice for 23 years. She retired from her practice in the fall of 2009 and hasn't looked back since. Currently, she works with women over 50 to build a financially self-sufficient online coaching business. This allows them to give back to those they care about, leverage their expertise and experiences, and serve essentially as their own retirement plan. All you need is a phone and a computer to get started. Welcome, Kim. I know you're not feeling up to par today with your voice, but you sound good to me.
Good. Thank you.
Well, Kim and I know each other, and we're friends, and we're in kind of the same industry because I work with women over 50, and so does she, but she is more on the financial side of things. But how did you go from being a therapist, which, of course, many people think coaches are, to the business of coaching?
Well, there's a big difference between therapy and coaching. I know when I get a client, I have them sign a pretty long form that talks about the differences because it's actually illegal. I could get myself into big trouble for doing therapy when people think they're getting coaching or doing coaching when they think they're getting therapy. But the reason I moved on, and it took me a long time to transition, too long actually, is that I'd had my practice, like you said, for 23 years, and insurance was becoming crazier and crazier. And I worked with a lot of borderline and bipolar women, and I was getting to a point where I just felt it was in my best interest to work with healthier people. You know, I had done my time. And I started taking coaching classes, and here I am.
Well, I know you do a great job of it because I've known you for a while, but why did you particularly choose women after 50?
Well, I'm pretty much my ideal client. I think that's part of it. I will be 63 November 12th. You can believe that. And you hear all the time, and I know so many women myself who, for a variety of reasons, are just not financially sound during their retirement years. And that's pretty scary because we are living longer and longer. And we could have 20 years or more in retirement. Although, Gail, you and I are going to be working for a long time. I know
That's true.
that.
In fact, when you say you're 63, going to be 63, you know, that's like a baby to me. So,
but that's why, you know, I mean, there's a lot of business coaches out there. Everybody knows that. But I really am on a mission, I guess, to cater to older women so that they can be financially safe, financially free during these years that we've worked so hard for.
Well, now, how do the women come to you? How do they find you?
Well, I have my website, of course, and I do a lot of networking locally in Denver, and I go to a lot of conferences, and I know a lot of people, so I get a lot of referrals. I was at a networking event, it was a fundraiser for a nonprofit that I'm on the board of, and I got a client from a financial planner.
And that's the key. I think people need to understand that in anything, referrals are probably always any business's best prospect. I don't care if you're a retail store, if you're a gas station, if you're a coach. I mean, referrals are absolutely the best. I mean, everybody knows that I go to San Diego once a month, and a friend of mine 12 years ago said to me, go to this gas station. It's got the cheapest gas in town. And even though I'm not there every week, every time I fill up my tank, it is at this gas station. And I've done that every month for 12 years. And that just came from someone saying, go go to this gas station. So
right.
let me ask you exactly how do you help these women? I know you say you want them to be financially free if something happens. So how do you help them get there?
Well, I have two types of women that, two themes kind of that go on. I have women that come to me and say, okay, I'm really good at this. These are my strengths. These are my gifts. And I would really like to help other women with this process or with this, whatever it is that they're going through or wanting or needing. But I don't know how to set up a business. I don't know how to set up an online business. And so I can help them with that. We basically start out with narrowing down their niche so that they're really clear who they want to serve, who their ideal client is, and then we just go from there. And then the other group of women I get come to me and say, I really want to have my own business. I've always wanted to do that. You know, I want out of my therapy practice, or I want out of corporate, but, you know, I'm 57 years old, and I really don't know what I would offer people. I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know what my gifts are. It's like you don't get to be after 50 and not have a lot of things that you could serve other people with. And so it's, you know, getting them to talk about their past, their experiences, their life, all the things they've been through, good or bad, and helping them figure out where their gifts do lie. And it saddens me that these women don't know.
Well, you know, you were saying, yeah, I mean, this really resonated with me, that someone can get to be 57 and really not think they have anything to offer anybody. I mean, they have a lot to offer. And so that's very poignant, what you said, because I've had the same experience where women say, well, I don't have any special talents, or, you know, I mean, I've really never done anything remarkable. But, you know, to get to 50 years old and lived a life, and whether you've brought a family into the world or whether you're on your own or however it is, I mean, you've accomplished a lot. So what results have you had with that?
I've had great results. You know, I need to remind women that for usually the first 6 months, maybe 12 months, you're really building the foundation of your business. So don't quit your day job.
Right.
You know, unless you can financially afford to put some money into your business, hiring a coach, hiring somebody to, I mean, I really believe in having a team. You can't do a business all by yourself. It's impossible. I tried. It didn't work. I think everybody tries it thinking they can do it that way, and it doesn't work. I don't know how to set up a website, and I don't want to learn. So I have a web guy that does that for me. So I think it's, you know, a lot about just, you know, there's steps that you need to take. But seriously, don't quit your day job unless you're financially safe enough to be able to do that. And truth be told, a lot of women that come to me are financially okay, and they will be. They just want to have their own business. They don't want to be sitting around knitting, or you can only play tennis so many times a week. They want to do something. They want to give back.
Well, it's interesting because I know people say to me, Gail, when are you going to retire? Just like you said, we're never going to retire. And I said, well, what would I retire to? I get up and I love every day. I play every day. I love what I do every day. And they say, oh, well, you could travel. I said, yeah, but I traveled already. I mean, I've traveled. I've worked in 50 countries and had fun in 50 countries, been to 49 states, and I still travel a lot, I mean, within the United States, because now that my husband is gone, I really don't like to leave my animals for any length of time. So I travel in the United States, and I'm fine with it. And I live in 3 places, so I love that too. And I say, what would I do? I mean, I'm not a shopper. I do shop, but I'm not a shopper, and I don't play golf. But I work out. I go to the theater. I have friends. I go out to dinner. I mean, what would I do differently? And I know people, as a matter of fact, my partner's, my son's partner's father just came to visit them, and he was a very high-powered advertising guy. In fact, there are very well-known people and companies who are still using his logos and so forth from 25 years ago. And he told them that the sorriest thing he ever did was retire. So I think it becomes just a point where I think people retire if they don't like what they're doing. I think that's the important thing. But a big question that I want to ask you is, what are the advantages and disadvantages of an older woman, I hate using that word, of an older woman having her own business?
Well, I can tell you one advantage is I just came back from India, we all came back sounding like this. I think there were too many planes and too many airports we were on 12 flights in 3 weeks and 21 days. But it was fantastic. I mean, we had a blast, and we learned a lot, and what an experience it is. And I don't want to have to ask anybody if I can have 3 weeks off, because they'd probably say no. I mean, I've worked for myself since 1987, and I like you, I'm very independent and self-sufficient, and I want to come and go as I please. And same as you, I mean, my husband passed away May 3rd. And this trip was planned long before that. And I had to pay a dog sitter a lot of money to come in and stay with my dogs. But that's not going to stop me. My big theme is, you build your business around your life. And you can't, when your kids are growing up, you still want to do that. But because I work with older women, hopefully our kids are gone. Mine are off on their own. They're not.
Yeah, but some of them still want to tell you what to do. You know that.
Some of the kids want to tell you what to do?
Yeah, I remember when my husband and I I was speaking over in, I wasn't speaking in Turkey, but I landed in Turkey, and then we went from there. I had some speaking engagements, and it was right after 9/11, and everybody, and including my kids, thought we were crazy because it was so dangerous. And it was very interesting because everybody that was on this particular, or in the hotel, not on any trip that I was on because I was independent, all of their kids had said to them the same thing: you can't go, it's too dangerous. And everybody was having a wonderful time, and everybody was very hospitable to us. So yeah, there are kids that will tell you, even though you raised them, no, Mom, this is not what you should be doing. So yeah, there are kids that love to tell you what to do.
Well, my sister's more like that. My girls are not. Erin, who's 27, went to the World Cup in Brazil. And, that's not always the safest place to be, especially when they lost in Rio. And I was glad she was home. But even when they won, she was texting my other daughter and I about the chaos in Sao Paulo. I'm like, take a picture. And she's like, are you kidding? There's riot cops. And
Exactly.
So, hey, if my daughters can go places like that, I can.
Exactly. Well, you've told us the advantage. What is the disadvantage?
Of starting a business after 50?
Yeah.
It's work at the beginning. I don't know anybody that I work with that works a 40-hour week, though. I really don't. My thing is, if you can put in, usually it's better in the morning, it is for me,